There's a chemical fog outside my school. We can't leave. Part 4. I'm not dead. That about sums up the next 1K words for you. I'm alive, and so are some of the kids that were with me at the school. It's been 2 weeks since we got home, and things have been unsettlingly normal. Everyone just expects us to go back to our day-to-day lives as if nothing happened. The world continues turning despite our efforts to ground it. A lot of us lost family. I was one of the lucky few that didn't. Needless to be said, this will be my last update. I don't feel as though anything particularly horrifying is occurring anymore. I'm just trying to cope, I guess. Reaching out to you all to let you know that I'm alive. I need to talk about it a bit with people who haven't gone through it and aren't professionals. God knows I've seen enough of those. The government got involved, and it wasn't until several psychologists got involved that we the students were even allowed to talk to our families about everything that happened. Non-disclosure agreements and whatnot. They still want to keep everything hush-hush, and understandably so. It turns out a lot of you were right. They sat me down in the psychologist's office. I remember because the walls were so bare compared to ones I'd been in previously. A clock ticked on the wall, and what few trinkets lined the shelves were abstract. I fucking hate abstract art. I like to make sense of shit, not the exact opposite. Regardless, the man sat me down. He stared across at me from his own chair, glasses-framed eyes half-slits, as he cautiously explained to me exactly what happened. The chemical plant malfunctioned. They believe it overheated. He explained to me, in a voice sickeningly smooth. It felt like honey was being forced down my throat. Why didn't they come and get us sooner? We waited for a week in that hellhole, and in that time a lot more people died. They didn't want to risk anyone else. They didn't think anyone survived. He explained. There wasn't a point in sending a rescue team for dead bodies they could recover once the fog cleared. No minced words there. It felt like I was floating. Disconnected from my own body. I guess somewhere along the line I just shut down. About a week was spent just existing. Pacing nervously, eating only when hunger pains crept their way into my bones. Sleeping only when I would fade into unconsciousness as I walked. But you guys don't want to hear about that. You'll want to hear about what happened at the school. The flu caused fevers. Horrible ones. Students already going through withdrawals snapped. One attempted to flood the theater room by opening up the main doors, but the teachers were able to stop him. They weren't able to stop a kid named Tyler from grabbing a knife and going on a stabbing spree, though. We lost 4 students and a teacher to that. Susan and Mr. Wardell were among the casualties. Tyler had made his way through Sudan's impromptu guard watch. Mr. Wardell tried to stop Tyler, but was unsuccessful. I remember the screaming, deafeningly loud as it echoed throughout the large room, meant to only amplify sound. How ironic, right? We put the bodies in the basement, along with the others that had piled up. I volunteered to help. The smell that permeated the basement was sickening, an instinctually gut-wrenching smell that caused me to heave. I still had a fever when the fog began to clear enough that the police made their way through the doors. They checked all of us out individually and stayed with us for a day as we waited for the outside to be clear enough to leave. It was a restless night. Our rescue had come, and still we were trapped. Other than that, the school was mostly just boredom. Power went out somewhere along the line, we ran out of gas. Hence my sudden radio silence, and most of the time was spent either talking to each other or just staring at walls in boredom. Without light, it was hard to read in most of the classrooms. The library had some windows, but not very many. Without fresh water, it was hard to bathe and use the restroom. Without fresh food, cooking was nullified and reduced to canned food. Any outlets for fun were gone, replaced with silence. And despite getting out, I still feel that way. I feel worse than when I was in school. Despite the amount of death I saw and the horror I was in, I felt fine relatively speaking. Now I'm restless and frustrated. I can't sleep anymore, not unless I'm collapsing out of pure exhaustion. When I finally do, I have nightmares. There are times I wish nothing had ever happened and, unspeakably, times I wish I had never left the school. The only good thing is that Audrey and I became friends, companions over countless text messages meant to comfort and smooth one another. She lost her hand. It was too damaged. They performed the amputation just a couple days ago. I went to visit her after the surgery. She didn't even seem fazed by it, just there for the ride, if that makes sense. It was like she didn't even register it. Despite the expected normalcy, everything feels anything but. I feel like a shadow of a person, walking their way through a stranger's life. It doesn't feel like mine anymore. The psychologist said it's due to trauma. I don't know. School starts back after Christmas. I don't want to go back. They talk a lot about horror being the events, but the aftermath is the real terror involved. The countless days of time lost to a wandering mind, an empty body. I'm nothing more than a fear-filled husk expected to continue on as if nothing ever happened. I'm expected to celebrate Christmas with my family. I'm supposed to laugh and decorate the tree. I'm supposed to be excited to go back to school when break is over and see my friends. But I'm not.
Stop. It ends when I say it ends. Now, be a nice human and scroll down and hit the like button. And if you are not subscribed yet, subscribe now. Thanks for watching.